There we go.
All right, we are officially live. Welcome back to another episode of Sports Vibe. I'm your host, Arna Sarkar, here once again with Andrew Rice. Usual setup for today. A lot to talk about once again this week. Kind of going a little off script, or not really off script, but trying this without an outline, trying to make it a little bit more free and fun. But we still have a plan. Obviously, we're going to be talking about March Madness, of course, because it's the best time in sports, or one of them. A lot of actions happened since last time. I mean, we had the second round on Saturday and Sunday. We had, of course, the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight coming up now. So I mean, even just the last 2 days of games, definitely a lot to talk about. But yeah, we'll talk about baseball opening week and basketball and hockey as the playoffs approach their final stretch. I think the seedings are probably starting to finalize, or at least getting close to that point. So we can kind of take a deep dive into that again, because I feel like we kind of skipped on that last week because there was just a lot of March Madness, a lot of World Baseball Classic, and I was just like, we could pass on it. But this week, I mean, there's no need to really do that because I mean, I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll get back to it at the end. But I still did want to focus a lot on March Madness, obviously. Yeah, I mean, it's just been like it's been a lot of craziness, going on. So really excited to obviously talk about that. Starting from the, I guess we could just talk about some of the crazy upsets that happened. In the beginning. I mean, because I think those are definitely worth speaking about as well. I mean, in the second round, in first round there was kind of like a little bit chalky, but even then, like High Point obviously beat Wisconsin. We had like the bracket busters. The Arkansas High Point game was very good on Saturday night. I mean, then the Nebraska versus Vanderbilt, the buzzer beater thing, that shot from half court that didn't go in. That was insane. I mean, it was just yeah, but then St. John's versus Kansas, that one coming down to the final wire, with the Johnnies getting the game winner there over the Jayhawks. But I mean, I think the darling of basically who people are calling this year's Cinderella is none other than Big Ten school Iowa, and they delivered the biggest upset of the tournament. I would think, by knocking out number one seed Florida, the defending champs, a team that had a lot of people still had going to at least the Final Four this year. A lot of people really like them to go even further, and they lit up their first round opponent, like Prairie View A&M. Like, I mean, it looked like they were like unstoppable. And then Iowa was able to kind of take control of that game for a while, lead them, and then even when Florida came back, they withheld it, and they got the game winning shot. So, and the runs continued for the Hawkeyes. I mean, they beat Nebraska in the Sweet 16 in a very interesting Big Ten West, like rivalry matchup. I mean, if you told me you'd have Iowa versus Nebraska in the Sweet 16 in men's basketball, like what I mean, like those are not typically basketball schools, really. Like either of them. And Nebraska had obviously a really breakout year, but Iowa coming in as a 9, like you did not really expect that from them either. And I mean, yeah, now they play Illinois, but I mean, just the run that they've had so far, knocking off teams like Florida, obviously. I mean, another higher seed in Nebraska. So it's just like, it's just craziness, right? Now they play another Big Ten team in the Illini. So it's just,
Some would
yeah, I
say
mean, I
it's
think,
madness. Some
yeah,
would say it's madness.
it is madness. I mean, it's like on one hand, it sucks that we kind of don't really have our Cinderella. Like High Point was, I think, the closest thing you got to it, and that was a really good game against Arkansas. They're hanging in there, fighting, but I mean, in a lot of ways, like Iowa kind of is like that Cinderella team. Like even though they're a Big Ten school and whatnot, but like nobody really had them going this far. They're a 9 seed. Nobody, and really on like nobody's radar really, and now they have a chance to like really maybe tournament team, yeah, but now they have a chance to go all the way to the Final Four, and even if they don't, I mean, Elite Eight's still really good, and just the runs that they've had. But I don't know. What can you tell me about like the Sweet 16, like that game? Did you watch more of Texas Purdue or Iowa Nebraska? Because I know I was locked in on Texas versus Purdue because that game was so close, and it came down to like Texas I think was winning for a bit, and it came down to the game winning tip in by Trey Kaufman Wren. So that one I was kind of locked in on. Iowa Nebraska was kind of just going on for me and the other channel. But I guess what could you tell me about like both of those games, or whichever one you watch more?
Well, to be honest, it was definitely the two corn eaters going at it with Iowa and Nebraska.
Yeah. He
um,
literally did. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, in all honesty, like no team like truly ran away with it. Iowa was actually down at the end of the first half by three. Obviously able to come back and pull off the 6 point victory. But yeah, I mean, no team like really truly ran away with the game. Iowa was a lot more consistent on offense, hit much more of their shots, but on the contrary, Nebraska also just attempted more shots across the board.
Right.
So it's like hit more, shot more. Um, I will say Nebraska was the better team on the boards, um,
Mhm.
but in terms of just I guess overall defense, I think Iowa definitely had their number. They had more steals, more turnovers, you know, um,
Right.
more points off turnovers, obviously, less fouls, all that stuff is eventually going to add up. And, you know,
Yeah.
turnovers. Turnovers might not be like the most like glaring stat because everybody wants to look at like shooting percentages, free throw percentages, getting to the line, three pointers, but turnovers like especially um especially in college basketball, turnovers are probably one of the most key statistics because I don't know, especially in the Rutgers games I watched this year, they were able to keep several opponents close by just generating a load of turnovers for the opposite team, and they were able to stay in games that they had no business being in. So yeah, turnovers like maybe not so much in the NBA, but definitely one of the most important statistics to look at in college for figuring out
Okay.
why certain games go certain ways. And when Nebraska literally doubled the amount of turnovers
Yeah.
that Iowa had, makes it a lot harder to win, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, especially in college hoops, like turnovers definitely really important. I mean, big stat. So yeah, Nebraska had more rebounds, especially on the offensive side of the ball. 3-point percentage, Iowa had like a little bit, shot better from downtown, which is good. Yeah, I mean, points off turnovers 20-7. Yeah, you're right. That is the glaring stat here. That is the yeah, double the turnovers for the Huskers, but points off turnovers, that's basically a big difference, so a slight advantage in points in the paint, but that's basically what did it. I guess, Iowa's kind of like a team that I think generates a lot of turnovers, stuff like that. I think you even seeing the Rutgers game against them as part of it, like they did that as well. So, yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much the tail of the tape. And then the other game, Texas versus Purdue. See, that was another team that people kind of thought was like, in a way, like a Cinderella ish, and it really does suck when you're like Cinderellas are like a 9 seeded Iowa and an 11 seeded Texas, who probably has more NIL than most in the country. They just choose to probably spend it on football, but but even basketball too. Like
So
I mean,
like
you know,
it's weird. I feel like that's weird for me because the whole argument is like, oh, your Cinderellas, are supposed to be like, but if you think about it, like, wouldn't the Big East have more money to spend on basketball? I don't
oh,
know exactly how that all is supposed to work, but
that
I don't
yeah,
know.
but
It just seems to be that like teams like in the Big East probably have more money to spend on basketball.
right,
That's
because
just my thing.
they don't have football programs, so like that's yeah, I mean, or they don't, or they're in like a different league, or they're not like really like the same high level. They're not, you know what I mean? Like even UConn stuff like that. So like, yeah, I mean, and most of them you probably don't have football or have like much lower level of football, or in the rare case where they have like kind of high level football, it's still not really like the Big Ten where it's like you have like Ohio State men's basketball and football, and they're both competitive. That's that and the other. So yeah, I mean, I or Duke, like the same thing like that. So yeah, no, I get what you mean, but like in terms of Texas, like in Iowa, like yeah, it's like a little tacky. I don't know. I mean, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't Texas first. Texas makes it worse, I think, because they're also like a big brand and they're just like very annoying too. So that's even harder for me to like be like they're Cinderella. But if anything, they were the double digit seed. Their overall records 21-15. Like I would say, like yeah, I mean they in a way they came from the first four too. They beat I think NC State, so nobody had them being there and. Especially making the run that they did too. I mean, losing obviously to Purdue, but even that game, I think they were very much in, and they could have won, but it came down right to the end, and obviously the game winner by Trey Kaufman ran. It was very back and forth like a game, and I don't know Purdue. Like I mean, they like I mean, you know what I mean? It's just something about them, like, Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith and the way, like, Smith, I think, passed the most assists record and all of that. And, like, they have multiple guys and, you know, double figures every game. They have a good big man, all that good stuff. For Texas, Tremont Mark had 29 points. He was just like on a heater from downtown, everything, just really putting them on his back. And a couple other guys had 15, 12, Dalen Swain, Jordan Pope, but no, that I think that I mean because of that, like I was kind of trying to watch Texas Purdue and not really so much Iowa Nebraska, but yeah, Purdue makes it out of the Sweet 16 on that side. I think the big upset, well, we talked about the big upset, but the other upset that was notable was Illinois over Houston, and even though it's a 3-2, like a lot of people saw that too as a team that can make the Final Four at the very least in Houston, and that was like kind of like I mean that's the pod where Florida's out, so it's like kind of like okay, it's Houston, like yeah, they're very good, they're physical, this that like they're probably like a lot of people, even if they went chalky, they were like okay, Houston over Florida or something like that, but now it's Illinois over Houston. So we hung out last night. I mean, you're telling me a little bit about that game and how physical it was, and how what Illinois exactly did to kind of limit Houston in the paint.
They suffocated them. They use those uh big Eastern Europeans
Yeah,
down low and just absolutely gave them nothing.
yeah. Which is a weird thing to say for a team like Houston because usually they're the team that does that. They're very relentless on defense. They're known for physical offense, rebounding, like all that kind of stuff more than anything else, really, in terms of their style of play. And yeah, I mean, like their leading scorer, Emmanuel Sharp, 17, Tugler limited to 6. I mean, this is a team that lost. Did they lost the national championship, I believe, to Florida last year, and after beating Duke. So obviously very good, very close to winning it all last year. This game was in Houston too, by the way. So like literally in their backyard. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Houston obviously a very good team now, like but yeah, the Illini just suffocated them, and so many Eastern Europeans on that team. I mean, they have Ivisic and Stojakovic and Mirkovic and like all these guys, and Keaton Wagler, who's really become like a star for them. I mean, as well. I mean, he had kind of off shooting night. He had 13, and this is this is kind of like what people say is like Big Ten basketball, like 65-55 win for Illinois. I mean, like we're talking about like the Pikel like speed limit again and stuff like that, So like this is just
Yeah,
like
where
grinded
was
out
that
big
this year?
boy,
Where was that? Where was that this year, huh?
right? Well, this
Michael,
year
I thought we
was
were supposed to get better on defense again. Where was
apparently,
that?
yeah, right. Like that's what I thought too. So I don't know. Maybe we're saving it for the crowd in a few weeks or
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah, so your Rutgers gonna be
Yeah.
playing deep into April this year, just like everybody thought. So, um, it's funny because when does it start? Like next Thursday, or I think it does, right? Like next Thursday,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah, next Thursday.
and then it ends on what Monday or something like that. I don't even know,
Yeah.
but like interesting because the timing like lines very much up with the end of March Madness. I think it's like almost the same, maybe even later or something like that.
No, no, it's a little bit
No.
before. It's like 3 or 4 days before.
Ah, all right. Well, yeah. I mean,
Because
Thursday,
March Madness
Saturday.
ends
Yeah.
right before the transfer portal opens.
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It can't really be later. Yeah, Thursday, April 2nd, we play 10:30 against Creighton. Jeez, like that's a late tip, but yeah. Anyway, for kind of a relatively meaningless game, but like I mean, nah. But like in terms of and then Saturday and then Monday, yeah. I think it's like basically roughly lined up with the end of March Madness. But either way, it'll be cool to see us. But I mean, I don't know. Like that's not really like
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
point of
watch
this.
the real tournament. I'm gonna watch the.
yeah. Go watch the real tournament, not the Crown. But if you want to watch the Crowd too, like you can. But anyway, I mean, I kind of got a little off topic of Rutgers, but I was trying to say is um what else are you doing? The speed limit, the Big Ten style of basketball, and yeah, I mean, this has really been. I think I was kind of gonna try to make this a broader point, but I think like this is finally becoming the year for the Big Ten that I mean that they deliver in March. I mean like four of these teams in the Elite Eight now are from the Big Ten. Like so I mean I think like 8 of the Sweet 16 were also from the Big Ten, and even the ones who lost, like some of them were lost to each other, this and that. Like Nebraska, Michigan State obviously lost, but yeah, I mean Illinois. We have Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, and Purdue now all in, the Elite Eight. We're guaranteed to have at least one team in the Final Four. It could even be as many as 3 if we're being very honest. But I mean,
Do
yeah, I mean,
you
the Renaissance is.
do you want to break the SEC? Do you want to break the
SEC
SEC?
is all gone, by the way. I mean, except for Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
Tennessee's still in there, but they're going to be
Tennessee's
gone
still
after
in.
Michigan
Oh
takes
yeah,
care.
they're yeah.
But
Michigan's gonna line them up. Yeah.
but do you want to break the SEC? You have 3 Big Ten schools in the Final Four, and then have 2 Big Ten schools square off in the finals after
Yeah.
three
It's gonna
years in
be
a row
3 exactly if the
of
SEC
the
like
college football
are.
championship.
Dude, I know. Like we it's like we got college football from them, and now like college basketball. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like even more unexpected. College football, at least, okay. Like their SEC for a while was a little bit better, but Big Ten was like right there with them. At least the best teams in the conference are right there with them. Then they overtook them. Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana out of nowhere, obviously winning the national championship now too. So, if basketball, Big Ten is like completely undersold and underdelivered in every big moment for like the
Oh, they've
past
always done
20
that.
years. So like
Purdue is like
Purdue,
Purdue is
yeah.
like, is like the guy at the party. He's got like huge muscles, and then the second you ask him like what his like match set is on the bench press, it turns out it's like 135.
Yeah, it's like it's not that great. Yeah, but it's like yeah, Big Ten is just like I don't know. And this year is different, obviously. But what usually happens is like it's like a couple big dogs in the conference that are like kind of okay in March, and Purdue obviously embarrasses themselves more than often than not. But sometimes when they're rolling and clicking, like they can be a tough out. And then Michigan State is kind of the same. You know what I mean? So it's like it kind of sucks when they lose because then you're like the whole conference is done. Like Michigan State's usually like the last like the one true team that kind of like sort of makes a run for and like is like the Big Ten's like big dog. But then even then they're not like barking as loud as like UConn or Duke or like a real like elite team either. So it's like even then they're like also like short. Like last year they lost to Auburn and you know what I mean? This year, you know what I mean? So it's just like those two are usually like the big dogs in the conference that actually kind of make noise in March for the Big Ten. And this year they've been joined by the Illini, Iowa, Nebraska, Michigan, and just like a whole bunch of other teams, and mainly those. But it's been like kind of a coming out party for the conference. But I do want to kind of keep our ship rolling, and maybe we can dive back into the Big Ten a little later and their matchups and this and that. But for the sake of this episode
The
and like
viewers
getting
will have to forgive us. This is a Big Ten oriented podcast.
yeah,
This is
that's true. If you're like a
we
neutral
might as
viewer
well
and
just
you're
call
like
ourselves Big Ten bias at this point.
if you guys are like wondering why, I mean, obviously the Rutgers thing, I mean, that's the primary reason. But yeah, I mean, like, I think it's also just a fair point to say, like, at this point that the Big Ten's like running the show, like, which is in basketball, which is unusual. But I mean, they're not the only ones, but there's also, other teams. But yeah, I mean, 4 out of the 8, this is basically the same pattern that the SEC had last year in, so, and it ended up with the national champion, ended up with, I want to say 2 teams out of the 4 in the Final Four, if I remember correctly. But I think
Think
Florida
so.
beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Florida beat Auburn though. That's what it was. And then yeah, but anyway, moving on to the I don't know, the other game I didn't really get to watch too much. Arkansas versus Arizona. I mean, obviously Arizona's a 1 seed. They're very good. Arkansas had a pretty good run. I mean, they beat unfortunately High Point and then I don't even know what happened after that, honestly. But like, I guess they just lost. So like, or something. Like, I feel like we like skipped a round or
No
something, but
way.
it doesn't look like they did. They just ran into like a better team, I guess. But the Cats have lost 2 games this year. Um, yeah, I mean they lost by 21. I don't really think this was really that close. Like, I mean, it's like not really that close. 54-43 at the half. So it's kind of and over 100 points on us. So this was kind of the opposite of our Illinois. Oh my goodness, Illinois Houston game where it was like 65-55. Now we have 109 to 88. So a very different style of basketball being played. That's like an NBA score. Not really, because NBA is like 130 to 120 nowadays, or like whatever the heck, because like they really don't play defense anymore. But like that's a different story. But this is like a very high scoring college game. Yeah, no, Arizona. I mean, especially when you guys, yeah, they have a lot of good players. Koa Pete, obviously, Brain Burries, Jaden Bradley. Yeah, I mean, they're a very good team, but I feel like they also have not. They've yet to been, really break out and really like get to that Final Four and stamp their ticket like for and as like a true elite team. Like I remember they lost to Princeton a couple years ago as a 2, and they've kind of like been short. So maybe this is the year that they break through in the Elite Eight. We'll see. But I mean that was kind of a lopsided ish one. And then yesterday, I mean we had 4 really really good games in the Sweet 16, and I guess starting with St. John's versus Duke. Obviously that's
First
the
of
big
all,
show.
I think I need to have a memorial service for
The
Northeast
Giants.
basketball with the loss of St. John's here. Like, I feel like,
Yeah.
we might as well like break out the trumpets and be like,
Well,
"Brr,
you can still
brr."
live, but like I mean, yeah. But I
Yeah,
get your
okay.
point.
You know what? Let me change that.
New
Let me
York
change that.
City,
We change it
New
to
York.
likable Northeast
Fair
basketball.
enough. There we go. Now we're talking. Yeah, because the Johnnies, I mean, they really like pulled this region together. That like a lot of people are around. Like I work in the city. Like not only in the city, but even in Jersey around the area, they root for St. John's. They're like kind of that like even at Wild Wings, there was like St. John's fans, and it was getting really exciting. And they
Yeah.
they were winning the game. They came. You know what I mean? Like you said, like Duke started fast. They came back. And then halftime again, like Duke started missing before the half. St. John's took a 1 point lead. Second half, it kind of flipped, and well, then St. John's was like bullying them. They were like taking the ball away, dunking. It was like a show. They were up by 10, and then I think they just started missing shots again. And I was doing some like not really research, but just like looking on Instagram, this that, and like seeing like what people were saying about the game, and kind of as we're still having our night last night. But it was just like the disparity, like a lot of people are complaining about the refs in this game and stuff like that, and it's like everybody has a different take too, where it's like some people are like, oh well, guard Kim Boozer, and some people are like, oh, the refs are fine, some people are like, oh, they suck. And it's like what are, like, you know what I mean, like everybody has a slightly different opinion, which makes it hard because I'm like,
Well,
well, I didn't watch
first
it
of all,
enough to know. But
you can't not acknowledge
yeah,
that Cam Boozer had a great game. I mean,
he did, he
double
like,
double, 22 points,
yeah,
10 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, come on, like
exactly,
you
yeah.
can't take that away.
And he,
You
yeah,
know,
he gets he puts his, whatever. I mean, he is a physical player. He puts his back to the basket and he scores, and that's what he does, and he's really good at it. You saw his jersey getting ripped yesterday. I mean, then you have Isaiah Evans at 25, connected on 4 of 8 threes. I mean, just a complete game from the Devils, and they were down by 10. They came back in it to beat the Johnnies. But I think the big stat that was, I mean, everyone had a slightly different take, but I think the main thing that jumped out to me was the 3 point disparity between the two teams. And if you want to say Duke got fouled a lot more, well, yeah, I mean, they shot a lot more, layups and contact shots. I mean, St. John's went not bad, by the way, but they went 13 for 32 from three. They shot 32 threes. They made 40.6. That's a very respectable percentage, and that's probably a big reason why they only lost by 5. But Duke, went 5 for 14 from three, a little bit lower percentage, but they also went, they also got to the line 24 times. They made 15 of them, which isn't even that great, honestly, but it's still 15 free throws. compared to 4 of 8 from the line for the Johnny. So I mean, yeah, I mean, like if you're gonna argue that St. John's and the whistle and Duke gets fouled, but like they're driving, they're creating contact, and you're just jacking up threes, and I like threes a lot actually. Like like, but I mean, I'm not saying that to like not like incentivize it, but if that's the way you're gonna play, then that's like the trade off. Then you have to make more threes, I guess. Is the trade off. Because then you can't really be hoping for the whistle if you're not gonna that's something that like multiple people said, and I mean I think that's a very valid point because I mean when one team's driving to the basket and limiting their threes and kind of having a smarter shot selection, getting contact, the other team shooting a whole bunch of threes and not really driving, then you wonder why one team goes to the line 24 times and the other team goes to the line 8 times. And I mean it's pretty simple, right? Like I mean,
What do you mean?
like, you know what I mean? Like, like Duke. The reason they ended up shooting so many more free throws is because they went to the free throw line more often. I mean, well, that's one part of it. But like, I mean, no, like, I mean, the reason they
right.
went to, it's because they drove. Like, the reason they went to the line a lot is because they drove a lot more. They shot a lot less threes, and the reason St. John's didn't is because they didn't shoot. I mean, they didn't drive or take contact shots. They shot a lot more threes. They made a decent amount of them, yeah, but like they also didn't really go the line that much. And so you're looking at 24 versus 8, but then St. John's is fouling Duke, and you know what I mean, like,
First
and
of all,
in
but
the
you have to
paint.
admit that foul at the end, that was soft.
That Yeah, that was like kind of
That was a
egregious. Like some of them, the ones that they were calling were like a little bit debatable, I guess. The ones that like the one at the end
but
that
the
put
one
like
but that
loser.
one at the end, that was like, what? The one
Yeah, it
where
was like
he's
a
about to
touch foul. Yeah, it
shoot
wasn't like.
shoot for the three. My lord, that was like, what are you even looking at? Because no, I will admit that I don't think the refs were bad all game, but in that moment, St. John's got screwed a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, the one where they got the foul and like, yeah, that was pretty bad. Oh yeah, because I was even like he got fouled and then he didn't when he shot the 3-point shot and he airballed it and I thought he got fouled too and then they were just like, no, it's Duke basketball, and I was just like, oh, huh, like you know what I mean? Like I thought like he was fouled on the
I
three.
thought Duke fouled them. Like I thought
Yeah,
Duke
I thought
fouled them.
Duke
I didn't
fouled
think
them. I
they.
thought they were putting him on the line, and then it just I think I don't. Then I think they just called it like an air ball, like he didn't even there was no contact or there was no like and then on the other hand, like Duke was I guess getting the whistle. So like yeah, I mean the point still stands. Like but at the same time, like I don't know. I think like the disparity in the attempts like speak for itself. Like you got to get to the line more than 8 times, and they also only made 4 of the free throws too. By the way, so like they didn't even the ones they had they also didn't really make over there either. So it's just like I don't know. Yeah, everything adds up. Obviously, the whistle wasn't great. A few things went wrong. People, it's Duke basketball. I'm sure, like, that probably plays a role into it. But I mean, you're driving, you're getting those contact shots like that. You're in the paint. The other team, you're shooting a lot of threes. You're not really making a whole lot, or even if you are, you're not making that much. And you're not going to the line a lot. You're not making them at the line when you are going. Like, it just doesn't really point to you're getting out rebounded. It just doesn't really point to a lot of success. So like that's kind of what it is. But even still, I mean, St. John's I think played a much better game than people thought. Like I think what I mean. Like they were very much in this. I really thought they had a chance to win it. I kind of thought for a while they were gonna win it. I was kind of pulled in two directions because I was like, childhood rooting for Duke. Now like kind of like the New York area kind of thing. So I was kind of like looking at it both ways. Like, yeah, if Duke wins, it'll be really good. But if St. John's wins, it would be kind of nice if Duke was out. So I was kind of like flip flopping, like debating it in my head, like which would be better and this, that. But at the end of the day, I think St. John's played a really good game and they deserve a lot of credit for that. But, and it also shows that Duke isn't unbeatable, although we saw that in round one itself. But like, but at the same time, like I think Duke did enough things right to be able to hold them off, even if you want to argue the refs and everything. I think just the way they played and everything was, proof enough that they were the better team, although it wasn't by like too much. And St. John's played a very respectable game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, oh great, my
I,
camera's not working. Okay. First of all, I want to say that St. John's was extremely effective. First of all, the 3-point shots were absolutely raining for St. John's, and then
for a
even their
while they
ability
were,
to
yeah.
stuff they were able to stuff Duke in the paint
Yeah,
several
that
times
was
over
the
in like
it wasn't
rapid
even the 3-point
succession.
shots falling, although that was, I guess, part of it. They were making a lot and they pulled away. But yeah, the stuffing Duke in that run that they went on where they're just pickpocketing them, stuffing them, kind of almost like doing Showtime transition like layups and dunks on the. That was like, okay, they got this, and then like they just got ice cold, and it was just like, oh
There were
man.
several times where you thought that St. John's was absolutely gonna take over
I
and
thought they were
that
gonna
Duke
run
and
away
that
with the
Duke
thing,
was
like, I thought
done.
they were not only gonna win, I thought they were gonna run away with the thing, and, like, they didn't, and that's frustrating, like, you know what I mean? That is frustrating, but it's like the evil empire comes back, but, the thing with Duke and other blue bloods is, like, if you don't like any of them, you hate all of them. If you like one blue blood, you hate all the other ones too, so, like, even if you are a Duke fan, you hate UConn, you hate UNC, you hate Kentucky, you hate Kansas, like, it's like you hate them. Like, you're the only one that matters. So like, you know what I mean? So like now with Duke playing UConn, I'm just like, well, as it is, I don't like UConn. But you know what I mean? Like now that becomes a problem. But anyway, point is like Duke, yeah, I thought St. John's though was gonna pull away and run away with it, and then they didn't. And then it was just kind of like oh well, I guess. But they played a really good game, and obviously that is frustrating. And because for a while they kind of did look like the better team in a lot of ways. But just not in the ones that mattered, I guess. So that yeah. But another game that involved a 1 seed yesterday was Michigan versus the Crimson Tide, Alabama. But this one was more like, I mean, it was close, man. Alabama was leading them 49-47 at the half, and LeBaron Philon Jr. He had 35 points, so that was really like a lot of him. And Lendenberg for Michigan 23, Cadeau had 17. But it was like whenever I saw it, like like second half Michigan just started pulling away from them, and it was like very dominant. Like the second I like started really watching that game after the Duke game was it was all Wolverines. Like Alabama couldn't score the ball for like 4 or 5 minutes, or also similarly getting suffocated. I think it was just it's kind of like your Arizona Arkansas matchup. It's like a 1v4. Like a 4 is a very good team, but the 1 is like just so much more dominant, and that's kind of like what it looked like when Alabama played Michigan. At least in the second half, the first half maybe a different story.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I always that was like a tale of two halves basically, where
Yeah, because
Michigan.
Alabama was winning the first half, like for at least by the end, like even though it's close, like they were still like, okay, we're in this thing, and we can beat them. Like it looked like it for a while, and then like second half, like the wheels rolled off the wagon, and like then Mich, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, um, yeah, what was I gonna say? It's just kind of like, yeah, tale of two halves, like you said, and also I completely lost my train of thought, but it's kind of like college football where like the depth eventually kind of wears out when like two similar level teams play, or like one slightly better one plays. Like for a while it is close, and then later on in the game the better team kind of takes over, and you see this a lot when teams in like slightly different levels play each other, or even the same level, and one's just better, and by the end of the game that kind of just shows up. And that's basically what happened here. Like Alabama was good, they were in it, they were winning, and then the wheels kind of just fell off the wagon. Michigan just dominated because they have a lot of size, they have a lot of like everything, shooting, this that, like multiple really good players. They have Lendenberg and guys like that, and just domination. So no, yeah, I mean like good job for the Wolverines. Obviously, like they were definitely the better team. This is like a real team that can not only go to the Final Four but possibly win the championship. I think so. I mean, like I think they kind of showed it last night, like that why they're so dominant, because seeing that against a four-seeded Bama team. I mean, that shows there's more left in the tank. I mean, obviously they're going to go into this game against Tennessee as the favorite now, and yeah, they look really good. Like I know you said they were your pick, I think, to win it all. I mean, like it's very possible. I mean, we'll have to see what Arizona has to say about that. We'll have to see what Duke has to say about that. Maybe these other teams, but I don't think you're like entirely like off base with that take, even though Duke like beat Michigan in the regular season.
With my Michigan take.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, Landerborg is legit. We had the
Well, he's
displeasure of
crazy.
witnessing his dominance in person. Landerborg is like, my God, he's good, but they're just an all around good team. They have no real weakness there. I don't really know what else to say exactly, but
Yeah.
And also the fact that they lost to Duke in the regular season makes me even more convinced that they're gonna go on and win the title because my whole philosophy is it's very hard to beat a good team
Oh,
twice,
yes.
you know? So I don't
Yeah,
think Duke is gonna beat them again.
maybe
I don't
not.
think
I don't know.
I don't
You might
really
be
think
right about
Tennessee
that.
stands a chance.
No,
I'm
yeah,
gonna be
Tennessee's
honest.
I think, but, like, they're always, like I mean, I don't know, I feel like they're always, like, a fraudulent, like I mean, not fraudulent, they're good and, like you know what I mean? It's like they kind of have a ceiling, I feel like, and they've always kinda lost in that, like, Elite 8 round, and I feel like that's just about to happen again, but and they played a good game, they knocked off Iowa State, who had a very good season, very physical, good team, and all of
The
that good
well,
stuff,
not
so
only did they knock off Iowa State,
they blew them.
they blew them
They
out a little bit.
dominated that game, yeah, they
Yeah.
were in control the entire time, they also kinda suffocated them, ran away with it, and, yeah, Volunteers are definitely a very strong team, but, like, it does feel like they kinda have their ceiling a little bit, even with guys like, Jacoby Gillespie and Nate Ament, and we saw them, like, we ran into them over at, Las Vegas and everything in the beginning of the year, so, like, we saw how good they were, but and they're kind of, like, slightly underseeded too, probably, you can argue, or at least lower seeded, like for this stage of the tournament. But yeah, they're still there. They're making noise. But I mean, I feel like it's about to come to an end. And I guess that brings us over to our final Elite Eight game, the Michigan State taking on Connecticut yesterday. And this was also a tale of two halves because I mean, not really. I mean, you know what I mean? They were. I thought Michigan State looked down and out and dead. And they were down 25-6. It was like what is going on? And then they come back and roar back. And by halftime, they close it very respectively, 25, 37, 20, 35-27. But yeah, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, this is a game. Second half, they come out, they even take the lead for a bit, and then it's back and forth, back and forth. And eventually, I guess UConn just gets the final shot. No, not even final shot. They were just 2 points ahead, and Michigan State couldn't really play the free throw game right with them. And you know what I mean? They couldn't really close it out. But Michigan State dug themselves out of a big hole. They had a very poor shooting night from three. They went 4 for 16 from downtown. They were just in the first half. They looked like they couldn't score like a bucket for like 8 minutes, and UConn just kept going. But then it kind of flipped, and Michigan State was now scoring all the points, and Connecticut just like stopped. So it was just, and then both teams kind of went back and forth, back and forth. So it was like very interesting how that one played out actually, and a very good game as well. But obviously, I think UConn ended up being like the stronger, better, better team in the end. I thought Michigan State had a chance to steal one from them, and that's what I mean when I say like the Big Ten's big dog and like the other team's big dogs. It just doesn't like add up to the same thing usually, and that really sucks because like when the entire Big Ten sucks in March and Michigan State's your one team that's like, oh, we're respectable, and then they lose in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, you're like if you're a Big Ten fan or not, you're just like F them, like they're not really that good, and like what are they representing, and like it's all this BS and like Sweet 16
Yeah.
again, like I don't care for that, like on personally, I really don't. But at least they were like the most respectable team in the Big Ten, like in basketball, like for a while, because you know what I mean. They're like the like our version of a blue blood, but then when they play other blue bloods, it's like short. So it's just like you know what I mean. Like that is very very painful. Like you know what I mean. I'd almost do it rather have it like this, where you have four teams in the Elite Eight, and none of them are really that blue blood team, but at least they're there and it's fun. And
Well,
versus like
there's
your one
plenty of
blue
blue
blood that
bloods
bought
in
you.
the Elite Eight. There's
Yeah, but
plenty of
just
blue
not in our
bloods in
conference, I guess. You know what I mean? And well,
well, does the
maybe you
Big
could
Ten
argue
really have a
Purdue.
blue blood?
Wait, what?
Does the Big Ten really have a blue blood? I
I would say
mean,
Michigan State's like the only one, and maybe yeah,
I
Michigan State's
Indiana used to be back in the day,
used
but
to,
not so
yeah.
much anymore.
Michigan State's
Um,
kind of like the main one. You can maybe argue Purdue, like kind of in a weird way. It's not
no,
really.
Purdue's
They're not
not
a
a blue
blue blood, but they're more
no.
like they're like a yeah. They're not a blue blood. It's Michigan. It's Michigan State basically for the Big Ten, and
Well,
Indiana used to be
you know why they call them blue bloods, right? Because the
because
blue
most
bloods were Kentucky,
Duke,
UConn, Duke,
yeah, UNC, they all wear blue.
Kansas,
Yeah,
Kansas.
yeah, Kansas, Rock Chalk. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they all wear
You know,
blue.
I
So
and I think for a while it was Indiana was the only one that wasn't blue, and then I think they've been kind of replaced by Michigan State, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I mean. Yeah, so yeah, blue bloods. Yeah, most of them were blue. All that good stuff. So not yeah. I mean, in terms of the Big Ten, like I mean, not really having a rep in that. Like obviously, well, this year they have four, so it's just not MSU. Unfortunately, they couldn't break through. Connecticut's definitely also blue blood, and now it kind of does suck because I feel like St. John's was like they beat UConn handily multiple times. They probably should have been a higher seed, and they ran into a Duke team, I guess that was probably a little bit better, and some things also benefited them. But now you got anyway, it doesn't really matter though because now Duke's playing that team too, so they're playing Connecticut now for a chance to go to the Final Four. So yeah, you got ACC, the one ACC team, really good Duke team that it could be their year versus a UConn team that's kind of back in the limelight after winning two championships and falling short last year. And then that should be a really good game actually. I am excited for that one. Then you have Tennessee versus Michigan, where I think we are all expecting kind of like a Michigan win over here, which would be really nice, especially coming against an SEC team in Tennessee that I don't know if people really hate them, but it's just obviously you want like the Big Ten to win that one, and they're the favorite this time around, which is nice. Then you have Purdue versus Arizona. I think this one, the games today, Purdue versus Arizona. I mean, I think Purdue has a chance in it. I don't think it's a good chance though. Like, I think Arizona's just like another level of a team, and I think they're gonna win and go to the Final Four. And then finally, I mean, we're kind of going in reverse order from Sunday to today, but we get what I mean, like reverse order in terms of the timeline. But the first game, this one's a very interesting Elite Eight game because now we have Iowa versus Illinois, and like Illinois like was kind of seen as like a sleeper team in the bracket where it's like, yeah, they're a 3 seed, but they're a very legit one and they can make it deeper. Iowa's like, whoa, like what the heck, like. So I mean, I don't know, like I feel like also Iowa's run probably ends here too, but I don't want to say that because like you don't know. They beat Florida. Some magic could happen. They could get hot, and it's a BD of March, right? But I think after Illinois beat a team like Houston, I mean, I think they're gunning for that Final Four too, and I think they've also been a team that's been good, not good enough. Like like lost to Connecticut, like almost embarrassed by them a couple years ago. Very frustrating, but either way, like I think this is could be a year Illinois takes that step to the Final Four. I mean, Michigan, Arizona, like a lot of teams that have kind of like been close but not no biscuit. Like this could be a year for them to be like, yeah, we're good, we're here, and we're in the Final Four. And then on the other side, Duke versus UConn. I mean, you got your blue blood matchup that college basketball fans are probably been salivating over too. So like it's kind of like a little win-win, inside outside kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't I don't know. It's like there's so much I'm like unconvinced about because Purdue does not convince me at all.
Nope,
Like,
nope.
one
Arizona
of one
kind
of
of
these
does though.
Arizona looks legit.
Yeah,
Duke looks legit.
yeah,
Michigan looks legit.
yeah,
Illinois for some reason looks legit.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's like
Purdue
it's a weird year, right? Like, I mean,
now now I'm pulling for Purdue no matter what. I
yeah,
have family that
would
are
be,
big
yeah,
fans of
that's fair.
the spoiler makers. See,
Mm-hmm.
you know, see
Yeah.
the basketball team is now the spoiler makers. Their football team is now the soiler makers because all they do is soil themselves on the field. But
Yeah, they're very, very bad. But yeah, I mean, like Duke does look legit. Like UConn now like looks pretty interesting too. Like,
that if there was one matchup to watch in the Elite Eight, I would say it's going to be that Duke UConn matchup.
yeah.
That is
Ooh,
just
it's
two.
gonna be
That is
spicy.
just two big dogs going at it.
Yeah, you're talking
And
about
then
big dogs. Like, yeah, uh-huh.
and
Also,
then
Purdue
after
or
that,
Arizona, I'm very excited to see how that one plays out too. But like, I
in
mean,
terms
that
of
should
like
be fun.
overall interest, though, or
Iowa,
games I think are going to
Illinois.
be the best, Iowa, Illinois, and Duke UConn are going to
And
be the best in my
yeah,
opinion.
Duke UConn's gonna definitely deliver one, and Iowa Illinois is like that's a really interesting, intriguing matchup for an Elite Eight game because that's like one that probably nobody thought would really be
Let me
that.
see.
And on top
Actually,
of
let
that,
me check. I want to check because they definitely played in the regular season. So I
I'm sure
want to
they
know
did. Yeah,
who took the
who
regular
won?
season
And
matches.
who
Huh.
did they
Yeah, so
not?
no, they
No,
played in the
Illinois
regular.
won, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Illinois won
at
75-69.
Iowa.
So that's a close score
It's a
there.
close game. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird that like when did Iowa get that? hot though. Like it's like I feel like they were just kind of like there all season. Like they were like not bad, not good in the middle, and then I think they just
I
got hot.
mean,
They lost to Maryland. They got hot tournament time, I guess,
they
and
certainly didn't get hot
in the
in the
conference
Big Ten
tournament.
tournament or the
They lost
conference
to Penn
tournament.
State. Like, yeah, I mean, they were like very streaky, weird. Like, yeah, they
Yeah,
didn't
because
get
like
caught. They won one game and they lost to Ohio State. Basically,
they
they
got
got in as a 9 in March Madness,
They
and
got
even that
they
was
got blown out. They got blown out by Wisconsin. They beat Ohio State. They
yeah,
lost to Penn State, which is like, oh my
yeah,
god,
yeah,
that's the sky is falling right there.
yeah,
That is they lost to Michigan, expected. They lost to
right,
Nebraska. That's a good team. They beat Maryland, which is like bare minimum.
fair
They
enough. Yeah, they also
lost to Ohio State, and then all of a sudden, Clemson done, Florida
Florida.
done, Nebraska done.
Yeah.
You know,
Who knows? Like they might have some. They might have one more in them. We'll see.
it like sucks to say that they are our Cinderella,
They
but they
are kind of the
really are.
Cinderella this year. Yeah.
You know?
They are the Cinderella this year, then unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, but like I mean, yeah, I mean a ninth seed in the Elite Eight. I mean they were underdogs in every March Madness game they were in, like even the 8-9 game, and yeah, they're not like a 16 or whatever, but they knocked off a 1 Florida and they're still going. And the funniest part is the women's team, who's usually very formidable, won by 10 against a very like surprisingly good FDU team that actually held up, and then Iowa lost in the second round to like Virginia. So they were out very, very quickly, and the men's team is still like dancing. So it's just like very, very strange. Like on both sides, honestly. I like think about it like that. But yeah, no, I mean it's like roles reversed all of a sudden here. So no, yeah, I mean college basketball definitely really, really exciting, and this time of year especially. I guess I did want to like pivot over to MLB because it's opening week over there, and I don't know. Yeah, Yankees got off to a good start on Wednesday night by beating the Giants. Baseball Giants that is. 7-0 on the and then 3-0 back to back shutouts for the first time in a long time. Yeah, I mean the pitching has been really good so far. I mean Max Fried had a really good start. And then Cam Schlittler, I was hearing like really good stuff about him too, like 5 innings and 1 hit allowed, 8 strikeouts. I mean, he was throwing some nasty stuff out there, and we saw it last playoffs. But I'm excited. Like this is gonna be the rotation is back. Like the closers are there. The hitters like Aaron Judge and Stanton both hit home runs, and yeah, like baseball is officially back. I mean, it's fun, and for the other New York fans and the Mets also beat the Pirates in their opener, and Paul Skeens got pulled after the first inning after allowing like 5 home runs or something like that, which is just like the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Him as like one of the best pitchers. He got through two outs and four hits, 5 runs, and like I don't know what was going on with him. Like that is just like a really bizarre stat. Like eye opening, like to see that with him. But like my goodness, like I mean that's hilarious. It must be a one off. Like I mean, there's no way that's real. But like anyway, I mean any like opening day week thoughts on baseball? I guess just going around.
Well, first of all, just gonna put this out here right now. I don't know if there's any avid Pittsburgh Pirate fans in the chat or
Yeah.
anywhere.
Oh.
You all are wasting Paul Skeens. Like,
Yeah,
my
I
God.
know,
You know?
dude.
Like he is, a certain gracious, you know, and very lovable team from New York should swoop in with a big bag of cash and, tell him, come this way.
Yeah.
Come to New York,
Come to New
stop
York.
wasting your career in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh does not invest any money into their program or into their team. I don't think they have the money to spend to get a true contender with the way the MLB is right now. So like,
Right.
yeah, I understand you played the Mets, you didn't exactly get blown out. You lost by 4 runs, which is not terrible. And Skeens did not have a great game at all, but you know, I don't know, man. Like he's one of the best pitchers in the league. Yeah, he had an off game on opening day, but I, I don't know.
Right.
He's wasted there. The Yankees could always use an extra pitcher. Come to New York, young man. You know, we'll at least take you to the playoffs.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Come join the evil empire. You know what they say?
Right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. No, for real though, honestly, and after a start like that, like, I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
that
hey,
was
you know, we
very
shut out the
unexpected.
Giants 2 games in a row, so, you know.
Not bad, right? Not a bad start to the season at all. Like, did he get to watch any on like opening day? I kind of whiffed on
Unfortunately
like,
not. I will
I
say
just kind of
though that
wanted to. Yeah.
like, you know, there are a couple teams that do always have like a special place in my heart. Like the Yankees, obviously, are my favorite team. Pittsburgh actually does hold a special place in my heart. I don't know why. I just like I watch
I
them
think me
a
too.
couple.
Like, I kind of like have a soft liking for the Steelers. Like, I don't know, going back in the day and stuff like that too.
Honestly, I
So
don't like any other Pittsburgh team besides the Pirates, which I find is weird.
it's interesting.
Um,
It's like the lovable losers. Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for the athletics players because
Yeah.
they don't deserve what ownership is putting them through, you
Oh
know?
yeah,
Like,
and like
it's not the
the
players that
yeah,
are openly deciding to do this
the
whole
real
move and whatnot, you know? So I
yeah.
kind of feel bad
Well,
that,
it sucks
like,
for the fans too. I mean, like how they were doing nobody showed up, and then everybody showed up to like protest. So that was like the move that
yeah,
won
but
games.
nobody showed up and then everybody showed up. But like my whole thing
Yeah,
is like the players are not the one, like, you know,
right. That too. Yeah,
honestly, I would
exactly.
have just showed up at the owner's house and bothered him there because, like,
Yeah,
you
because like
know?
yeah, that was like nobody came, and then everybody was there, and like don't that was kind of a nice touching moment. But anyway, they're gonna be in Vegas in like in a season, so I mean like it is what it is. But and they also kind of just aren't that good. So like I mean, but anyway, like yeah, I don't know. Well, Dodgers are off to a 2-0 start again this year, so
Oh,
like
great.
yeah, so but that's fun. But the Rockies are already 0-1 with the loss to the Marlins. So it's like, more things change, the more they stay the same. So like it's just like we're already starting the division like 1.5 games back, and we're only 2 games in. And it's probably gonna get like 15 times worse than that. So yeah, like I mean, it's great. Like a long season ahead of us. Like we're just getting started again in baseball. Like a long, 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 long season. I mean, by the time we finish this thing, it'll be October. Like so, yeah, no, but yeah. I mean, around this time of the year, March Madness, obviously, we're starting to get to the home stretch with basketball and hockey for the playoffs. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to just like take a quick standings update look or
Oh,
whatever?
yeah. So, boy, things are not going great over here.
In the Islanders
So
camp.
things are not going great in Islander land over here because where we once were, you know, second place in the Metro,
Yeah, yeah, they're
we are now
slumping,
absolutely fighting for our life in the wild card right now.
slipping and
You
sliding.
know, we were
Yeah.
out of the playoffs for a little bit, right?
Mhm.
We were out of the playoffs for a little bit. The Blue Jackets, um, the Islanders and the Blue Jackets are tied with 87 points. The Penguins are just 1 point ahead with 88, and the Ottawa Senators and the Detroit Red Wings are just 1 point back with 86. The problem is, every single one of those teams has a game in hand on the Islanders.
Uh,
Every single one.
hmm.
So, yeah, no, it's not going great. You know,
Yeah.
every single one of those teams has a game in hand on the Islanders. However, and it's going to be a crazy photo finish essentially. But the Islanders have upcoming games against the Penguins, the Flyers, the Senators. You know, like everybody's going to end up like beating each other up. For example, even Columbus, right? Bruins, who are in the wild card hunt, they have Sabres. You know, they're turning out to be pretty good. Then Bruins again. They get the Bruins twice,
Mhm.
and they get Carolina twice. It's it's going to be Ottawa, who's pushing for the playoffs. they have a brutal stretch ahead because they get the Lightning, the Panthers, the Sabres, then they
Yeah.
get the Wild. So that say like that isn't so bad, but then it goes Hurricanes, Lightning, Panthers, and then they get to finish the schedule with an easier stretch against the Devils and the Maple Leafs.
Mm,
So
yeah.
there's going to be a lot of people
I
fighting
know.
for
It's still
the
got
like.
like a lot of season left. I mean, at least like 10 or so games, like a lot of grappling in the standings. And yeah, that's true. Schedule that's gonna get a little tough. And
I am I am gonna go see the Islanders play the Maple Leafs at
oh,
home
fun.
on April 9th.
Nice, nice.
I'm hoping we are in a much better position by
By
that
then,
point.
yeah,
You
hopefully.
know, I'm hoping we have the playoffs just locked up and, sitting comfortable and
Right.
I can just
Yeah.
sit back and enjoy a game of hockey. But I will say the Islanders do have a very advantageous end of their schedule when it comes to where they're playing
Mm,
because their last couple games are versus the Panthers at like the Panthers at home, the Penguins at home.
yeah.
They go on the road to the Sabres, which is not that far. Then
Yeah.
they get the
Same state.
Flyers at home.
Yeah.
Their last true road game is against
Carolina.
Carolina.
Yeah. And then
And
the
then they
last
have
four are at home. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Not
So that
bad.
could certainly tip the scales in favor of the good guys, you know?
Yeah. True. True. I guess, yeah, I mean, the thing for, yeah, that is true. Thing for the Devils is they've been, like, weirdly hot lately, but it's just way too little and way too late, and, like, that's very frustrating. They beat the Rangers again, they beat the Kings, they beat Boston, they lost to the Capitals by 1, they beat Dallas on the road 6-4. I think Jack Hughes had, like, 2 goals in that one again, and the Predators 4-2. Like, I don't know what's going on, like, it's just, like, like, they keep winning, but it's, like, kinda just, like, way too late. And that's frustrating, but, like, oh, like, it's just, like, if they could have had this success earlier in the season, we could have been talking about a playoff spot again this year, but, um, oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. It's like they kinda closed the gap a little bit, but, yeah, they're still way behind, like, they're way behind, and at this point, it would need something, like, heroic to even, like, come close to that, so yeah, I mean, they're 7-3 in their last 10. I mean, they actually have more. The funniest thing is they have like more wins than Pittsburgh, but they have less loser. They only have 2 overtime losses, and the Pens have 16. So they have like very little loser points. They have like 37 wins, 32 losses, 2 overtime losses. So I guess they just don't get to overtime a lot, or if they do, they win it. So like but then they also lose more. So it's just like, yeah. I mean, that's rough. I mean, 2 overtime losses, you're not really taking advantage of the loser point, I guess, in that case. So, or yeah, I mean, I guess it's like either you win or you just don't or something like you know what I mean? Like that's very weird, but it is weird how the rule works like that. But either way, like yeah, I mean, Devils are still way behind. And
That's that's the
what?
problem though, because, the Islanders have more regulation wins
Yeah,
than
then both of
even, like,
those
the
teams. Yeah,
Penguins. They'll
that's
go like,
true.
we have
They're
more regulation
41.
wins than the Penguins, the Canadians,
But they also have like similar to the Devils, they only have 5 like loser points, like overtime losses. So
I
they're also kind
guarantee
of in a
you
similar boat.
yeah, I guarantee you if, like, they forced overtime in, like well, if they forced overtime in, like, 5 more games than that they lost, and they had, like,
That'd be so beneficial, yeah.
10 loser points, we would
Yeah,
be sitting at 92 and be, you know,
right
2
behind
games a
Carolina, yeah.
2 games ahead or of Pittsburgh in the 2nd spot. Like, man, it's just like if they could have forced overtime 5 more times, like, come on, you know?
Right, yeah, that
Like,
is weird, like, yeah, like, I'm
it's
looking
the
at this
lack
and
of
like
loser points that are gonna kill us.
yeah,
But
that is true.
the thing is, if the Islanders finish with the same record or the same amount of points as another team does, that those like regulation wins are going to be really beneficial because it goes from like points and then the first tiebreaker is regulation wins.
Right, yeah, true, 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 true. Yeah, I mean that all makes sense. Yeah, it does suck, honestly. Like, yeah, I'm like
So
wondering
if
how on earth the Devils only have 2 overtime loss points like in the entire season, but it is what it is, I guess. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like a really, really, really low number. It's like I guess they just didn't get to overtime a lot, and if they did, they won. So like like, but then they also lost a lot in regulation. So anyway, it is what it is. They had a bad season, but the Rangers somehow had an even worse season. Like, which
the
is
Rangers are eliminated.
yeah, they're gone. Like, yeah. Also, like, I don't know if the Panthers are too, but they're also like near the bottom, which is also, I don't know. I like the Panthers because they beat like Carolina a few times and they beat the Rangers. Like they've had their moments and they won back-to-back cups. But at the same time, I feel like it's nice, or that basically guaranteed to have a new champion this year, and it's not going to be the Leafs or the Panthers or like any of the teams. Well, it's not like the Leafs are there anyway, but you know what I mean. It's weird. It's like the division is
The
flipped because
Leafs.
now the
The
Sabres are
Leafs being
at
in
the
the
top.
Stanley Cup. You're
Yeah.
crazy. You're
But it's funny
crazy.
because like like the Leafs and the Panthers, like some of the more reliable teams in that division are at the cellar, and like teams like the Sabres now are in the Lightning's good, but like
The
what I mean,
Sabres
that
are on
division.
top.
Yeah, they're
The
and
Sabres are
even
on
with the
top.
3 game losing streak, they're still like on top of the division, too. So yeah, no, good for them. I mean, like then now they're tied with Carolina until in points too. So that's not even like before Carolina was like ahead of them in points at least, and they've kind of like leveled off a little bit too. So they're sitting pretty in the Metro, but Western. I mean, we're looking at our President's Trophy winners, probably the Avalanche and then the Stars have both clinched berths already in the West. The Wild look to be pretty good for the other one.
Nobody has clinched in the East yet, though.
Yeah, that is
It's
weird. Even not
crazy.
even Sabres and Carolina yet. So
Yeah.
although we kind of know, but like yeah, it's not like official, I guess. And then the Ducks are really leading the Pacific. They've been really hot lately again. So
I
like
like
that.
the Ducks. The Ducks
Yeah,
are,
that's an
you
interesting
know,
team to like be good. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a fun one. The
the
Mighty
Mighty
Ducks
Ducks of
of
Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah. I think Oilers fans got to be celebrating that Florida's like not going to make the playoffs this year because it's like
I
for a
think the
moment,
Oilers
like
fans should be celebrating that they're in the playoffs at all because they're the 17th. They're the 13th worst team in the league. They're number 17 overall. You should be
wait, what?
celebrating that. What?
Oh, I guess. So yeah, well, I see
Yeah.
that they have 81 points.
The East is so much better than the West right now.
That's true. Yeah,
Like
I
the
guess. I
East
was
is
just
an
like Oilers.
absolute
Yeah, it's a
juggernaut.
gauntlet. Yeah, all these teams are. I mean, even the Devils have 76 points, and the league. Even the bottom teams have like like in the 70s right now, and like stuff.
Yeah, because like if you look at it, right, you have you hold on. You have the Rangers, who are the worst team in the East. They have 67 points. The worst team in the West has 50.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like even our worst teams are so much better than our
Yeah,
best
yeah.
than like their worst teams.
Yeah, our worst teams are definitely like better than their best teams. Their worst team is 50. The Canucks, like, oof. But like, I mean, yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
they're
it's
bad. They're
yeah.
bad,
I
bad.
guess yeah, Edmonton fans probably are like celebrating and like popping champagne, thinking like we don't have to play the Panthers this year. But there's no guarantee that that means anything because the West is still like, I mean, they still got to get out of the West in the first place.
But the West is awful
That's
besides
true.
Colorado, who's just
Yeah,
cruising.
Colorado's like a different. The top of the Central is like very good actually. Like they're ahead of like most teams in the East, but the rest of it is like
Yeah,
really
but
really
also
bad.
like if you realize like yeah, the teams in the Central are ahead of the teams in the East, but that's because the teams in the Central get to beat up on the other Western
Mm,
teams
fair
more.
enough.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're right.
the
You're
other
right.
Western teams are done. I'm sorry, the West is just not good. You know,
No, they're not great. Yeah, you're right. Outside of like a select few teams, they're really not. The East is like a gauntlet. Like you could tell, like the Sabres and like the Hurricane, like these teams are the Lightning. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of real teams in this. Even like the wild card teams like the Jackets, the Islanders, like Canadians, Bruins. Like it's very competitive for sure, and like the race is
even
still going
like
on.
the teams that are just out, like the Ottawa, like the Senators
The
and the
Senators and the
Red
Red Wings,
Wings.
yeah, they're still very much in it. So it's just like anything can happen from now and then. Yeah, but like I mean, looks like yeah, we'll get somebody new on the cup this year, which is kind of gonna be nice. But it's very competitive in the East. It's like a gauntlet. In the West is like we're here to have a good time, I guess, or something like that. Like the teams that are like in the driver's seat, they're like, we're here to have a good time. The rest is like, yeah, like, have fun with that, or something. Like it's like very like lopsided. So yeah, no, this has been fun. Like I kind of thought this was gonna be a little throwaway segment, but this has been fun. I mean, like NBA is more my lane. Like I feel like it would be nice to end on that. But over here we've had like a lot more playoff berths being clinched than over there. So I mean, I think the season's almost like a little, not really. It's about the same. But a lot of the teams have kind of been separating themselves, and the tanking has become like a real issue. Like when you look at the other side of it, because the Nets are like lost 10 in a row. I mean, like the bottom teams in the East are like so bad. Like the Wizards, Nets, and Pacers is like, what are you like doing? Like it's like a disgrace to like the game of basketball. Like what's going on over there? And then even the West, you have like the Kings and like stuff like that. But for all those bad teams, the few bad teams, you have a lot of good teams and a lot of good basketball going on. So I mean, like it's kind of the standings haven't really changed too much, but I mean the Pistons are kind of like I think pretty much. I don't know. They're not really guaranteed, but they've been ahead all year, and they look good for that first. They've clinched the playoff position. The rest have clinched play and position, which is different. But I mean, I guess the interesting one is New York and Boston, because now the Celtics with Tatum, they've been cruising. They just knocked off OKC. Yeah, I mean, they're in second. The Knicks are now in third. They, fell a little bit behind. The Cavs are in fourth. And then it's kind of like the same old little picture that you have going. Sixers have kind of rebounded, but I don't know. I mean, I still feel like we're looking at our big three, and maybe the Cavs now have James Harden. We might be looking at like, four teams in the East that can really make some noise, but it should be fun to see how they duel it out. I don't know. I think Detroit's like real this year. I think we might be looking at. It would be fun if we get Pistons versus Cavs second round and Celtics versus Knicks again second round. Like I would like love to see that. Like I would love to see that. But especially if the Knicks like beat them again, that would be really nice. And
I'm
then in
just
the
not
West,
enjoying basketball this year.
I'm really not. Yeah. So like it would be nice to see some fun stuff like that go on again. Like that would be like if the Knicks play Boston again in the playoffs, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And if the Cavs play the Pistons too, and if the Knicks play the Pistons, because they also beat them last year, so like stuff like that. I mean, there's like yeah. I think yeah. I mean, like a lot of cross rivalry stuff that could happen in there, and I think Pistons are very legit. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Knicks have kind of been good but quiet, and maybe they're just waiting to burst in the playoffs again and get the city going again. I don't know, but I feel like it's been a good quiet year so far for the Knicks. Celtics have kind of come right back out of nowhere. Like they're supposed to have a down year, not the case. So and then the Cavs, like I mean, they've been like a playoff choker for years, but and then now you add James Harden to the mix, and I don't and Donovan Mitchell. I just don't know how much that really is going to change the calculus of that. To be honest with you, it might still end badly, but or not badly, but I don't know if they're going to be like just because they got Harden, they're like a serious threat now or not. But like it should be interesting at the very least. Like it would be nice to see them make it to the next round, or like stuff like that. I don't know, like it should be fun. I can't wait to start actually watching this stuff again when the playoffs start, because like you know what I mean, like it's just like right now we're looking at the same standings table, and it's like nothing's changing, and it's just like we're waiting for those series to start is what it is. But you know what I mean, I think that's what it is. And the West is the same old too. Like I mean, the Lakers have been heating up because Luka's been going off. I mean, you got the Nuggets, you got the Wolves, the Rockets, but I think it's like we've been saying, it's two elite teams in the Thunder and the Spurs and the rest, and so I mean, yeah, that should be a really riveting series when it comes. Hopefully we end up getting the Thunder versus Spurs in the WCF or whatever the heck, and yeah, I mean, like it should be a good time. I mean, I don't
I'm
know,
just gonna go for the Spurs from here on out
Oh,
because
for
my
sure. Yeah, you
my
gotta, especially if they play like OKC, and they're just a fun team. They've Dylan Harper, obviously, but they have Wembanyama, they have Fox and Castle and all those guys. But yeah, no, I mean it should be a good time for the playoffs. I mean it's always fun when they both start in April, and you're watching like hockey and basketball like every night or every other night. You're flipping and this and that, and you're just enjoying like all the series go on at the same time. Like um that's one thing that like we like to do on SportsVibe is dive deep into that. So obviously when that time comes around we will. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Like, obviously, star of the show this week is still March Madness. Like, we kind of got a little bit away from that towards the end, but it's still March Madness. Enjoy all the action around sports world, and especially in college hoops and women's side too. And yeah, I mean, enjoy all the baseball. It's like sports equinox right now, right? A little bit like baseball, basketball, hockey. College hoops are still going
Except for the
on.
best sport isn't there.
Football, yeah, that's
Yeah.
swing leagues, yeah. And 1 month until the NFL draft, by the way, last. So I mean, that should be fun as we start thinking about who our teams are gonna pick. Maybe maybe we'll try to do like a mock draft special or something around that time of the month next month, or maybe a live during. I don't know. I'll have to work it out. I really do want to do something like that for
With
you
the
know
first pick in the 2026 NFL draft, the Oakland Raiders select Ethan
Fernando.
Kaliakmanis,
Oh,
quarterback.
Rutgers, yeah. Yeah, they're obviously gonna take Mendoza, but yeah, no, like it should be a good time, I guess. But yeah, no, a lot going on in sports. Enjoy everything, and as always, vibes are high on Sports Vibe, and we will see you next time.